Hi! Today, Gameosity is going to be looking at the newest game in the Pandemic line, Hot Zone North America. Designed by Matt Leacock and published by Z-Man Games and Asmodee, who sent us this review copy, Hot Zone aims to deliver a fast-acting dose of cooperative gameplay in about 30 minutes. How effective is it? Let's take a closer look. Now, as I mentioned, Hot Zone is a quick-playing version of Pandemic, one of the first fully cooperative board games I ever played. For those familiar with the original game, I'm going to go into specific differences in a few minutes, but for the uninitiated, Hot Zone, like Pandemic before it, has up to 4 players working together to contain multiple disease outbreaks across America, all while trying to research cures before the diseases manage to overwhelm our population and resources. Each player will take on one of 4 roles, and each role has a unique ability. All of them are incredibly useful. Gameplay is fully cooperative, so going into Hot Zone, you'll need to be ready to coordinate with your fellow specialists. On your turn, you will take up to 4 actions, divided any way you choose between traveling, treating people to remove disease cubes from the board, trading resources, and researching cures. Resources in Hot Zone come in the form of city cards. You can spend your city cards to quickly travel to or from those locations, but if a player manages to bring 4 cards of the same color to the CDC headquarters in Atlanta, they can take the action to cure that color of disease, making it that much easier to treat and getting you one step closer to winning. All players will win collectively when the team manages to cure all 3 diseases that they're currently combating. But that might be easier said than done. Each turn, more disease cubes will get poured onto the board, and if you're ever going to add your 4th cube of a color to a city, there's instead an outbreak, which scatters cubes to all adjacent cities, which can, if things are going very badly, cause even more outbreaks. Suffer too many outbreaks and will cause an immediate game over, as will running out of city cards or needing to add cubes but being unable to because they're all already on here. Like Pandemic before it, Hot Zone gives you multiple ways to lose, but only one way to win. The gameplay in Hot Zone, just like the original Pandemic, is all about coordinating with your team. Disease cubes will constantly pile up, so you'll definitely want to remove them to avoid outbreaks, but you'll also need to try and trade cards so that one person has the 4 that they need to find a cure. You'll have to use event cards to your advantage and be strategic about when to burn city cards to travel versus using them to cure. The fun of Pandemic is in the rise and fall of the group's fortunes, as we all desperately scramble to keep disease cubes from piling too high, while also trying to funnel the right cards to the right players so that they can find the cures that we so desperately need. Working together is key, because Pandemic is sometimes perfectly happy to put its foot on your throat, and all of that is true about Hot Zone more, or in many cases less. Now's the part where I need to talk briefly about the major differences between Hot Zone and the original Pandemic. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with the original, just hang on for a second. First of all, the map is significantly smaller and you're only fighting 3 diseases instead of 4. There's only 1 research station and you can't build more. Diseases can never be eradicated, and you only need 4 cards to cure instead of the 5. With these differences in mind, Hot Zone manages to deliver a very concentrated dose of exactly the sort of gameplay that defines Pandemic, just in a much smaller, tighter experience. It's not just the box or the board that are compact either. The entire feel of the game is slim and trim. The limited roles, smaller number of locations and diseases, all that makes Hot Zone more of an appetizer than a main course, perfect for travel, or when you want a quick punch of cooperative gameplay. In our plays of it, it also felt a little easier than the original too, with fewer nail-biting choices or no-win scenarios. Fortunately, for those looking to up the challenge, Hot Zone comes with unique crisis cards, which can spike the city deck with bad news. So, Hot Zone is a very effective concentration of the Pandemic formula, but what does that mean for our recommendation? Well, Pandemic comes in a lot of flavors these days, including original, expanded, old, terrifying, dice, flying, disposable, and Roman, and while Pandemic Iberia is probably my favorite, we really, like all of them. Except for Pandemic Look Out, the Water's Coming, that did nothing for me. But where does Hot Zone fit in? Well, if you've never played Pandemic, but you think you might enjoy it, then I wholeheartedly suggest snagging it. Sure, it's a bit abbreviated, but that's part of its charm, and it will serve as an excellent jumping-in point to the cooperative gameplay of Pandemic. And if you want more, well, there's tons more where that came from. But what if you're like me and you like Pandemic so much that you've got yourself one of these sweet broken token biohazard containment units? Well, I actually think Hot Zone has a place in my collection as well. As I said, it's perfect Pandemic on the go. It plays really well with 2, and it's just about the best for getting a quick dose of cooperative disease-fighting fun. And that's it. Hey, Meeple and I thank you for watching. If you want to see more of our reviews, please click on either of these playlists. One of them is our full-length review series, and the other one is Game in a Minute, where we tell you everything you need to know about a game in about 60 seconds. If you'd like to subscribe, please click the G and ring the bell so that you get a notification every time we publish. And if you like what we do and want to support us, please check out links to our Patreon below. We'll see you next game. Flesh and blood.